The first thing my father said wasn't hello. It was, "You have 7 days to decide if you're still part of this family." I remember the way his voice sounded cold, rehearsed, like he'd practiced it in the mirror. My mother stood behind him in the kitchen, arms folded tight across her chest, avoiding my eyes like I was already a stranger. And my sister Paige, she was sitting at the table, staring down at her hands, not saying a word. Then he said it. "You're going to pay your sister's debt, $300,000, or you're out. Completely. No calls, no visits, nothing." For a second, I thought it was a joke, a sick, twisted joke. But nobody laughed. And that's when I realized this wasn't a conversation. This was an ultimatum. I've always been the responsible one. You know the type. The kid who doesn't make noise. The one who gets good grades, lands a stable job, pays her bills on time, and never asks for help. While Paige, she was the opposite. Wild. Charismatic. Always chasing some new dream, some new business idea that was supposed to change everything, and somehow she always had my parents wrapped around her finger. Growing up, it was always, "She just needs more support." Or "You're stronger, you'll understand." And I did. For years, I did. I covered for her when she missed rent. I lent her money I never got back. I even helped her set up her last business, an online boutique that burned through cash faster than it made it. But $300,000? That wasn't a mistake. That was a disaster. "I'm not paying that," I said finally, my voice shaking more than I wanted it to. My father didn't blink. "Then you're choosing to walk away from your family." "I'm choosing not to be responsible for her choices," I shot back, glancing at Paige. "Why isn't she saying anything?" She flinched, but still didn't look up. My mother stepped in then, her voice softer but sharper somehow. "She's overwhelmed. She's ashamed." This is when family steps in. "Family doesn't threaten each other," I said. Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. Then my father leaned forward, his hands flat against the table. 7 days. After that, we consider you no longer our daughter. And just like that, it was over. I drove home in a daze. The entire conversation replayed in my head like a broken record. 7 days. $300,000. Disowned. It didn't make sense. None of it did. Even if I wanted to help, which I didn't, that amount of money wasn't something you just paid. It would destroy me financially. Years of savings. My future. Gone. And for what? To fix a mess I didn't create? By the time I got home, my hands were still shaking. I dropped my keys on the counter, kicked off my shoes, and just stood there in the silence of my apartment. It felt different somehow. Colder. Like something invisible had shifted. That's when I remembered something. A weird, nagging thought that had been sitting in the back of my mind for months. Small things, easy to ignore. A credit card offer I didn't remember signing up for. A bank alert that showed a balance I didn't recognize, but then disappeared when I checked again. A piece of mail addressed to me that my mother had casually mentioned she'd already opened by accident. At the time, I brushed it off. Now I wasn't so sure. I walked over to my laptop, my heart starting to pound for a completely different reason. "Just check," I whispered to myself. Just to be safe, I logged into my credit report account. And what I saw made my stomach drop. There weren't 1 or 2 unfamiliar accounts. There were dozens. Credit cards, personal loans, lines of credit. Some active, some maxed out, some already in collections. My name was attached to over $280,000 in debt. I couldn't breathe. This isn't real," I muttered, scrolling faster, hoping, praying that it was some kind of glitch. But the details were there. Dates, signatures, addresses. And then I saw something that made everything snap into place. The mailing address on most of the accounts? My parents' house, not my apartment, not anywhere I'd ever lived as an adult. Their house. My childhood home. My hands went ice cold. "No," I whispered. "No, no, no. I clicked into one of the loan documents. There it was. My name. My signature. Only, it wasn't mine. It looked like mine close enough that a stranger wouldn't question it, but I knew my own handwriting. The way I curved my letters, the pressure of my pen. This was a copy. A forgery. And suddenly, every piece of the puzzle started falling into place. The pressure to help Paige. The exact amount of her debt. The ultimatum. 7 days. It wasn't a request. It was a cover-up. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I spent hours going through every account, every transaction, every document I could access. The deeper I dug, the worse it got. This hadn't started recently. It had been going on for 3 years. 3 years of someone using my identity like it was theirs. Opening accounts. Taking out loans. Racking up debt. And the entire time, I had no idea. But the most terrifying part, this wasn't random identity theft. This was calculated. Personal. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. They knew my full name, my social security number, my history, my habits. They knew where to send the mail, so I wouldn't see it. They knew how to keep me in the dark. There were only a handful of people in the world who had that kind of access. And I didn't want to believe it. I really didn't, but deep down, I already knew. The next morning, I called my mother. She picked up on the second ring. "Have you made your decision?" she asked immediately. No hello, no warmth, just business. "I checked my credit report," I said. Silence, not confusion, not concern, silence. "I know about the accounts," I continued, my voice steadier than I felt. "The loans, the credit cards, the address, still nothing." And that's when it hit me. She wasn't surprised. "Mom," I said slowly, my chest tightening, "what did you do?" Her exhale was soft, controlled. "We were going to tell you," she said. My entire body went numb. "We just needed time to fix it first." "Fix it?" My voice cracked. "You stole my identity. You put me hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And now you're asking me to pay it?" "It was for your sister," she said, like that explained everything. She needed help. We all did what we had to do. "We?" I repeated, my stomach twisting. "You and Dad? She's your sister," my mother said, her tone hardening. "We're family. This is what family does." "No," I said, my voice dropping. "This is what criminals do." That's when her tone changed completely. Cold. Defensive. "Be very careful what you say next," she warned. "You don't want to destroy this family over a misunderstanding." A misunderstanding, 3 years of fraud, hundreds of thousands of dollars. My future. A misunderstanding? I laughed bitterly. "You forged my signature. You opened accounts in my name. You stole from me. We were going to pay it back," she snapped. "When?" I shot back. "After you ran out of my credit completely, after my life was ruined?" "You're overreacting." "No," I said quietly. "I'm finally seeing the truth." I hung up. And for the first time in my life, I felt something I never thought I would feel toward my parents. Fear. Not of what they'd do to me, but of what they'd already done. The next few days were a blur. I called the banks, reported the fraud, froze my credit, filed disputes. Each conversation felt surreal, like I was talking about someone else's life. But the evidence was clear. The accounts were opened from my parents' address. The contact numbers traced back to them. Even some of the IP logs pointed to their home network. There was no denying it. This wasn't a mistake. This was intentional. And Paige? She wasn't just a victim of bad luck. She was part of it. On day 4, my father called. "You're running out of time," he said. I almost laughed. "Am I?" I replied. "You think you can just walk away from this?" He continued. "After everything we've done for you?" "Everything you've done to me," I corrected. A pause. "Then, we can still fix this. Pay the debt. Keep this within the family." There it was again. Not guilt, no remorse, just control. "Or what?" I asked. You disown me? After committing fraud in my name? You won't win this, he said, his voice low and threatening. No one will believe you over your own family. I looked down at the stack of printed documents on my table. Every account, every signature, every transaction. Try me, I said. Day 7 came faster than I expected. But this time, I wasn't the one being cornered. I drove back to my parents' house, just like I had a week before. Same kitchen, same table, same people. But everything felt different, because now I knew the truth. Well, my father said as soon as I walked in, have you made your decision? I placed a folder on the table. Thick, heavy, evidence. Yes, I said calmly. I have. My mother glanced at it, then back at me. What is this? Proof, I said. My father frowned. Proof of what? I met his eyes. Everything. I opened the folder and slid the documents across the table. Loan agreements, credit statements, fraud reports, a legal notice. I've reported the identity theft, I said. To the banks, to the credit bureaus, and to a lawyer. Paige's head snapped up for the first time. What? She whispered. My father's face went pale. You wouldn't, he said. I already did, I replied. My mother's voice shook. You're going to ruin us. I tilted my head slightly. No, I said. You did that yourselves. The room exploded after that. Accusations. Denials. Panic. But I didn't stay. I didn't need to. For the first time, I wasn't the one trying to fix things. I wasn't the one carrying the weight. I walked out of that house knowing something I'd never truly accepted before. Family isn't defined by blood, it's defined by trust. And once that trust is broken, there's no going back. A few months later, the consequences came. Investigations, legal action, accounts frozen, charges filed. I didn't celebrate it. There was nothing to celebrate. Because the truth is, I didn't win. I lost a family. But I gained something far more important. Myself. And for the first time in years, I was finally free.